On the question of rest versus rust, over the past 20 years, 9 teams have taken care of business quickly enough in the conference finals that they had a week or more of rest going into the final. 7 of those 9 teams wound up winning it. The 2 that didn't certainly don't prove that the long layoff hurt them, because last year the Jazz lost to the Bulls, so you can throw that right out. They're against Michael and Chicago. There's many reasons for that defeat. And the other one was the '89 Lakers, who had won 11 straight playoff games, and then in Game 1, Byron Scott and Magic Johnson both got injured against the Pistons and were out for the rest of the series, and Detroit swept them. Knicks up by half a dozen as we start the second quarter. Sprewell can't increase it, and Duncan takes the rebound.
Bob, the slow start, though, really doesn't surprise me. I think rest really comes into play once you start getting into a series. I think it always pays dividends. Maybe it hurts you in the short run, but not the long term.
Duncan into the lane, pull-up jumper, good.
Now, how about that play? Tim Duncan, pump fake, drives in the lane, and pulls up. Now, this guy's 7'1" and probably weighs about 260 pounds.
Is he the best player in the league?
He is to me. He's the most complete player. Defense and offense. I don't think he has a weakness in his game. Houston
off with the long attempted 2. Back come the Spurs, trailing by 4. Steve Kerr for 3. It's not there for him. The all-time leader in career three-point accuracy, and he had a good look at it. Childs pounding the dribble into the floor, now finding Sprewell. Out to Kurt Thomas, Childs again. Shot clock winding down, and a foul. It's on Duncan, his first. Meanwhile, Larry Johnson, who committed 2 quick fouls and went out after just over 2 minutes of the first quarter, returns.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how he comes back in after getting warmed up, maybe getting a little stiff on the bench with that leg. But Kurt Thomas sits down, and Sprewell, so now you have sort of a bigger, slower New York team. Look for them to continue to go through Allen Houston, this team on the floor.
What did Kurt Thomas do while he was in there? 6 points, 7 rebounds, 2 steals. Houston is tripped. And Jaren Jackson is hit with his second foul.
Allen Houston, as I watch him play here, Bob, one of the things that really registers to me is all his career, he's heard what a great player he could be. I think it's finally registered to him, I'm a great player, and that's the way I'm going to play. What confidence he's playing with.
Johnson backs in on Elliott. Ball knocked away. Camby trying to save it, but it winds up in San Antonio's hands. Jaren Jackson eyes a 3. And the Spurs pull to within 1. And Chris Childs is hit with a technical on top of it.
This is the one thing you don't want to do if you're in New York. Get this crowd excited. You're playing well. You get a 3-pointer from Jaren Jackson in the transition. Now Steve Kerr is going to shoot the technical. Keep your poise. Don't give this crowd anything to cheer about.
But Kerr can't tie it.
Let's take a look right here at Chris Childs, and let's see what happens after the play is over. He's just going to take and throw his shoulder into Malik Rose. I think Malik did a nice little acting job to go with that. But Chris Childs, important he stays on the floor. He and Camby give them great play off the bench.
Johnson around the perimeter to Houston. Johnson against Rose, backing in. Now here's Childs, 4 seconds to shoot. Camby will. Loose ball battle, and it's out of bounds. And the Knicks are going to keep it. 9:43 to play in the first half. New York by 1.
We talked in the open the importance of Allen Houston and Sprewell scoring points. Allen Houston off to a great start, 10 points, and he's doing it in a variety of ways. The little medium-range pull-up jump shot off the screen roll. He drives it, fields Tim Duncan, pulls up over the outstretched hand, and then this little floater in the lane. So once again, the great confidence, and he and Sprewell have really energized this team to start this game. And you see Allen Houston getting better as the playoffs go along. Had a great series against Indiana, outplayed Reggie Miller, and also did a great job on the defensive end against him, going to 3 of 18 in the deciding Game 6.
10 points for Houston so far in this one. We're early in the second. Jaren Jackson intercepts Dudley's pass, cutting in front of Johnson, takes it to the hole and misses. Gets it back, finds Avery Johnson, and he decides he'll set it up. Jackson for 3. And as they battle for the rebound, there's a loose ball foul. And it's on Malik Rose, his first.
Larry Johnson did a very smart play on that fast break, Bob. He was back. He couldn't take the foul because he already has 2. He would have had to sit down with 3. So he just sort of put his body up against him and forced him to take a tough shot, and he missed it.
He seems to be moving and jumping pretty well, speaking of Larry Johnson.
I think as the game goes along, he'll feel more trust in that leg. Bob, if you hurt a knee, if you've never done it before, it's a strange feeling. I've done it, and it feels like you're just off balance. The thing is not stable, and the more you can go, the more you trust it, the better you'll be.
Camby against Elliott. Spinning on him, but it looks like a foul or an illegal defense beforehand. Illegal defense. Each team has been hit with 1 illegal defense warning. On the second, a technical is shot.
See, Camby's in the game right now. He's playing as a small forward against Elliott. Let's see if they go back and try to post him again.
There's number 2 on Elliott.
Bob, we talk so much about the game being mismatches. That's what it's about. You got a mismatch, you go to it. Go into Camby inside, let him work against Elliott. He has the size.
They go right back to it. The turnaround. Rebound taken by Malik Rose. Jackson's pass intended for Robinson, broken up and stolen. Houston feeling it, but it won't drop. And a foul on Camby as he tries to get up on the offensive glass.
Little push in the back that time by Marcus Camby. That's his second foul. And again, we talked in our open, he's got to stay out of foul trouble. He's in the lane. Rose has inside position. He extends both arms. You're going to get that foul every time.
You know, you get Kurt Thomas in foul trouble, maybe. Larry Johnson, maybe. You can't play Chris Dudley down the stretch of close games because he's such a poor free throw shooter. Ewing is in street clothes, but the way things are going for the Knicks, Herb Williams at age 41 will come off the bench and score 20.
Well, see, I think that's one of the reasons why San Antonio is not panicking right now, Bob. They realize it's a 48-minute game. They want to try to wear New York down. They know they have a depleted front line. Don't panic. Just keep playing. Keep wearing them down.
Foul was on Chris Childs a moment ago, his first.
New York's going through one of those droughts that they go through after a 27-point first quarter. They have not scored in almost 4 minutes.
Robinson is hit as he cuts to the basket. As he goes to the line, you can go online to MSNBCSports.com and check out a comprehensive playoff section called NBA Showtime Online. Isaiah Thomas breaks down the Knicks and Spurs matchup and picks a champion. Plus, you can email Bill Walton, every fan's dream, at MSNBCSports.com.
Allen Houston getting his first rest, Sprewell in, so you can see the strategy of Jeff Van Gundy. He wants one of those guys on the floor all the time for their scoring. Can't rest them both at the same time.
1 of 2 for Robinson, but Duncan grabs the rebound. Jackson's open for 3. Larry Johnson takes it. Chris Childs backing away with his dribble. Johnson screening for him. The jumper is off, and the rebound is taken by Robinson. Avery Johnson pushing it up the floor. Robinson's the trailer for the jumper. Finally, the rebound winds up in Sprewell's hands. After 4.5 minutes of the second quarter, the Knicks have been blanked. Johnson into traffic, and a foul called by Bennett Salvatore. It comes before the shot. It's on Jerome Kersey, his first.
For people who have not seen a lot of San Antonio, I think there's this perception out there, this is a half-court team. Bob, they would like to run too. In the LA series, they ran and they scored big points, so they want to run back at you. So don't get the feeling here that this is New York's style of game necessarily. San Antonio wants to run also. Spurs
are over the limit already in the period. And so Johnson shoots. You would have thought, from the way he went down late in the series against the Pacers, that we had seen the last of him in uniform in this postseason. It's a far cry from Willis Reed limping out before Game 7 at the Garden 29 years ago, but it's certainly a boost for the Knicks. The unexpected early return of Larry Johnson. Here's Jaren Jackson on the move, and Steve Javie spots a foul. It's offensive against Jackson.
It's on Tim Duncan. What happened, Bob, is as Jaren Jackson drove the baseline, he sealed and moved on that screen, so Duncan got caught with a moving screen on that play.
And that's Duncan's second. Larry Johnson up in a crowd. And the Knicks with a three-point lead at 30-27.
You cannot let Larry Johnson spin. He wants to spin back to that strong hand away from the shot blocker. You must keep him going in the same direction when he tries to post up. That was their first basket of the period. That only a free throw prior to that in this second quarter. There's foul number 3 on Marcus Camby. Larry Johnson loves to set you up. Drive in the middle, have you cut him off, and then he loves to spin back off your body. Watch him as he gets his position. Kersey will drop, he'll spin off his body and go away from the shot blocking, the pump fake, the kiss off the glass. They need Larry Johnson.
Welcome back to San Antonio. I'm Jim Gray. Larry Johnson is now playing in the game with just the rubber padding around his right knee. He started the game and came out for warm-ups in what's called a medial collateral ligament brace. There you see it. He took it off on his own. Dr. Norman Scott said he advised him not to take it off, but Larry said he was uncomfortable, felt sufficiently warmed up, and now he is playing without it. Dr. Scott said in the newspaper earlier that that would prevent further injury to the medial collateral. However, Larry Johnson is now at some risk, but he feels this is what he has to do to compete. Bob?
Jim, thanks. Spurs ball, they trail by 3. David Robinson cuts it to 1.
That little isolation play, they love to bring David Robinson out to that free throw line extended and let him use his quickness. That time he scores against Kurt Thomas.
Kersey's on Johnson. And Johnson picks up his third as he's hit with the offensive foul.
Foul trouble's really going to hurt this New York team. They are depleted on the front line. Kersey reads the play beautifully. That's Larry Johnson with 3. We also know that Camby picked up a quick 3. This will really hurt the New York Knicks.
Johnson has logged just 7 minutes of playing time, and he sits with 3 fouls. Now Mario Elie checks back in for the Spurs, and Kersey goes out. A little pressure in the backcourt from Childs. Duncan comes back, sets a screen for Avery Johnson, and he comes across. And Kurt Thomas is whistled for a foul. That's his second. So the Knick lineup now has Childs and Houston in the backcourt, Thomas and Sprewell at the forwards, and Dudley at center for Jeff Van Gundy. Prior to this year, David Robinson had played in 62 career playoff games and scored 20 points or more 45 times. This year, he's topped 20 points only twice in 12 playoff games, as the focus of the offense has shifted to Tim Duncan as the first option.
When David Robinson scores big, he normally does it by getting to the free throw line a lot. You're seeing that in the game tonight. Drawing, getting contact, getting to the line.
Sprewell to Thomas from 20. Overshot it badly. Jackson and Dudley chasing after it. And a loose loose ball foul on Jaren Jackson.
Dudley's really working hard on that offensive board. That's at least 3 offensive rebounds he gets. And what it enables you to do, Bob, if you shoot a low percentage and you get the extra shots, it gives you more opportunities. And Dudley has done that tonight.
Third foul on Jaren Jackson. High and straight, Chris Dudley says to himself. Let's see how well he does. 1 for 2 so far tonight. Tomorrow on NBC, America's funniest night of television. Must-see TV Thursday starts at 8, 7 Central with Friends. Then Jesse, Frasier, plus Will and Grace and ER. A great night. Must-see TV tomorrow night on NBC.
Bob, the ironic thing about the New York foul trouble right now is you would expect Chris Dudley to be a guy who normally picks up quick fouls. He has none. It's been Camby and Larry Johnson tonight that's gotten the fouls.
Even at 31, Avery Johnson finds Duncan open. Can't untie it, and the rebound to Thomas. Sprewell with 6 on the shot clock now. Childs inside to Dudley, 2 seconds to shoot. Thomas beats the buzzer and misses off the back iron. David Robinson. And the rebound to Dudley. Sprewell pulls up and gives New York the lead.
Oh, that's a 1-on-4. You're talking about confidence. He just comes down the floor and lets it go, but that's the way you got to let Sprewell play. You can't restrict him. He'll make some bad plays, but he's going to give you a lot of positive energy, and he's scoring very well right now.
Childs all over Avery Johnson, runs him into a Duncan screen. Now up top to Robinson. The Admiral on the drive. And a foul on the play. It will go against San Antonio. It's Robinson's second.
Again, the one-man fast break. Chris Childs throw ahead to Sprewell, let him go to work. You see 4 white jerseys back there. Elliott with a hand in the face does not bother Latrell Sprewell.
Ellie went for the steal. That left Houston open.
Got to square him up. The way Allen Houston is shooting, you cannot give him those easy looks. And right now, New York is in a very good rhythm. They're going through Sprewell and Houston. The only thing that could really hurt them is foul trouble right now.
Ellie against Dudley. Slings it back outside to Duncan. And Duncan lays it in.
Looks like Dudley hurt his wrist on that play, or his elbow. They can ill afford another big guy to get hurt right now.
He gets to his feet and joins his teammates, but Jeff Van Gundy's taking no chances. He asks for time.
Chris Dudley's going to try to step over in front of Tim Duncan to take this charge. Duncan pulls up. They do not call him. He lands. You can see him land hard on that right wrist. We'll see how he is after the timeout.
Hi, everyone. Hannah Storm coming up on the Prudential Halftime Report. We'll hear from New York's Marcus Camby, a big reason for the Knicks' postseason success. Camby describes his first meeting with then Knicks president Ernie Grunfeld after being acquired from Toronto.
He said to me that, you know, Marcus, I think you are the guy that's going to get us over the hump once we play Indiana in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Bingo.
Bam. I mean, that really hit me once, you know, we clinched the victory the other night, and I was like, man, this is what Ernie envisioned.
Marcus Camby, the player Larry Bird called the MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals. His conversation with Peter Bessie coming up at halftime. Right now, Camby has picked up 3 fouls, but his team leads the Spurs by 2 as we rejoin Bob and Doug at courtside.
Hannah, thanks. No question that the team envisioned by the now deposed general manager Ernie Grunfeld had Marcus Camby and Latrell Sprewell getting big minutes and the team playing a more wide-open style. That's happened in part because of injuries to Patrick Ewing, which forced the change.
Well, you know, he had injuries to Patrick. He really was never healthy all season long. Sprewell got hurt early in the season, was out. They really never had it all together. And with this shortened season, Bob, it's taken them till now to really find out who these guys are, what they can do out on the floor.
just in the nick of time. And the Knicks by 2. Here's Houston, feeling it, but missing it. The rebound taken by Duncan. The outlet to Avery Johnson. The bounce to David Robinson. Robinson against Dudley, who bothered the shot. The ball kicked to the side, and Sprewell wins the race for it, but he stepped on the sideline. For a report on Chris Dudley, we check with Jim Gray.
All right, thanks, Bobby. Just kind of fell awkwardly on his right forearm, and it pulled his shoulder and his forearm. Mike Saunders looked at him real quickly. He will continue in the game without a problem.
Bob, he's playing very well. He just comes off a shot block there against David Robinson. He's done a nice job with all the foul trouble that New York's front line has had here in this first half.
Robinson, meanwhile, has shot 2 for 8 in this first half. Dudley trying to get in front of Duncan and bother him. And he did. It went off Duncan and out of bounds.
So there's a possession where he forced a turnover. So back-to-back, shot block, forced turnover.
Childs around the Thomas screen. Now circles back out. We move inside 3 minutes to play in the first half, and Childs misses. The rebound tip to Duncan. With Houston all over him. Finds Duncan into the paint, switches hands and misses, but he was fouled on the play. That's number 1 on Chris Dudley.
Bob, the effect of what San Antonio is doing right now in the low post with Duncan driving in there, you've seen Robinson in the post, is it will have its effect in the second half. Right now you can get a sense the New York front line is tiring a little bit. So San Antonio has to keep pounding that ball inside.
Karl Malone won the MVP award for the second time in his career. Alonzo Mourning of Miami was second, and Duncan was third. But a lot of people believe that this is the best all-around player in the league, and one of those believers is Knicks coach Jeff Van Gundy.
Well, I think you've really seen his game blossom in the playoffs.
Here's Sprewell. Gets it back from Dudley. Spins and fires. Flat-footed rebound taken by Ellie. Robinson to Duncan.
Wonderful high-low. Wonderful pass there. They get the fronting in the post. They swing it to the top. They makes the extra pass, and you see the great touch of Robinson over the top to Duncan. That's beautiful basketball.
Duncan has scored 16. The Spurs are back in front. Dudley is blocked by Robinson. Into the hands of Avery Johnson. Here's Sean Elliott, who hasn't scored yet. Robinson's open. Spurs by 4.
We always talk about the end of half, the last 2 minutes. New York must be very careful right now. San Antonio hitting them with a spurt. Jeff Van Gundy feels it. He takes a 20-second timeout. They do not want to let this half slip away here in the last 2 minutes.
The timeout comes with San Antonio on an 8-0 run.
See Duncan, he says, throw me the alley-oop. It's not there. He goes into the post. Kurt Thomas is going to get in front of him. So what do? You swing the ball to the top. Now you throw over. There is no weak side help. You get the score. And then Robinson with the block shot. So he has the assist. Now he comes over and he gets the block shot. And then he goes to the other end and he hits the jump shot. The complete package, the duo of David Robinson starting to make the marks in this game. Mario Elie says, I like that passion, David. More importantly, I like that block shot, too.
How about Jerry Rice's comment? Rice, in all likelihood, the greatest receiver in the history of the NFL, but now after injuries and as he gets along in years, perhaps not the top receiver on his own team anymore in San Francisco, he says, I'll have a whole new attitude coming into training camp after watching what David Robinson did this year with San Antonio, willingly taking a secondary role. I'll do that on the football field.
Well, I think it's important because they're winning that you see you reward winning. And that's what David Robinson says. I've been around long enough. I've had the stats. I've had the glory. I've been the MVP of the league. I've been the defensive player. I've led the league in scoring. The one thing I don't have is a ring, and that's what I want.
After a foul by Mariolelli, his first, Houston hits the free throw. And Herb Williams, at age 41, the oldest player in the NBA, 4 years older than his coach, has checked in for the last few moments, last minute and a half of this first half. Here's Ellie against Houston. He was bumped and fouled. And that's 3 on Allen Houston.
Boy, the fouls are really mounting up. They can ill afford to lose Allen Houston. See, Bob, the problem with that is now, with a minute 24 to go in the half, you worry that Allen Houston comes out and picks up a quick fourth and has to sit down a lot in the third quarter. If you're Jeff Van Gundy, that's your concern right now.
Mariolelli, a good free throw shooter, missed that one. The Knicks are thin to begin with, and 3 key players in foul trouble in the first half.
Part of your game plan is when you play a team that's depleted along that front line is you don't shoot jump shots. You go to the basket and you put the onus on the official to make calls, and that's what San Antonio has done to get through this little period of time where they've struggled to put the ball in the basket.
Robinson goes out, Malik Rose in to replace him. Here's Antonio Daniels against Childs. Daniels goes down, no foul is called. Daniels making his first appearance of the half. Second-year player from Bowling Green. Dudley against Duncan. He'll shoot a little hook, but he won't get the bounce. Here comes Avery Johnson, 2-on-1. Daniels on his right. Antonio Daniels lays it in.
When Chris Dudley's on the floor with Herb Williams, you're actually playing 3-on-5 offensively right now. That's what happened, and San Antonio took advantage of it.
Charlie Ward, Williams, out to Childs, back to Herb Williams. 6 seconds to shoot. That's the last thing Williams has on his mind. And there's a whistle from Bennett Salvatore.
I don't think New York thought that Chris Dudley was going to take this shot, so they didn't protect the backcourt. Duncan gets it out, he throws ahead. Avery Johnson said, we got an easy 2-on-1. We haven't seen this kind of fast break tonight. So the quick shot from Dudley, I think, sort of surprised his teammates. They did not cover the backcourt.
The foul was on Malik Rose, his second. Sending Dudley back to the line, where he's hit 2 of 4. Spurs maintain a 5-point lead. Last half minute. Duncan's open. And he drills the 20-footer.
That was a set play to go 2 for 1. And now we'll get 2 shots to 1 in that last possession. 3-second shot the difference in the shot clock, game clock.
Charlie Ward out to Herb Williams. The tip doesn't drop. And a New York foul. Over the back on Dudley. Attempting to follow on the offensive glass. It's his second.
Again, Bob, we talk so much about free throws. Chris Dudley walks up, and he misses 2 free throws. They come down, Duncan scores to give you a 2-for-1 possession. Then he picks up the loose ball foul. That's a big swing right there where you're trying to stop the momentum going in at half with 3 of your players in foul trouble.
With that free throw, Duncan has now outscored the Knicks in this quarter. He's got 11 points. New York has 10. He's looking for his 20th point of the half. And doesn't get it. Last 4 seconds. Pass deflected. Dudley gonna get off the last shot? Not quite. He claims he was fouled, but he'll get no satisfaction.
San Antonio, with great defense, ends the half on a 14-2 run. So they were down by 4. They now lead by 8. That's the importance of closing out half.
Stay tuned for the Prudential Halftime Report. Hannah Storm will be joined by Isaiah Thomas, Peter Vesey, and Bill Walton on the Showtime set. You're watching the NBA on NBC.